Hello everyone, welcome back to Anime vs Gamer. This is Hikifuji with you all. Hope you've all had wonderful time since you last heard us. And here with me I have.
Hi everyone, this is Sakura. I hope you guys are doing good. We're back for another round of discussion, which I'm very excited. So do tell us what's happening today. What are we talking about?
Well, I figured that since we did a discussion that you quite very much initiated and enjoyed, I'm pretty big on, thought-provoking things and philosophy and just analyzing things. That's kind of like a huge part of my life. So I figured, why not analyze the media that we consume and the messages and meanings behind them, right? I think that our topic for the day should be something along the lines of life lessons, otaku editions. What do you think?
That's so you too.
Right?
That is so you. So I want you to start a conversation and I'll follow along and tell you what I think.
The first thing I wanted to mention is that when I say life lessons, I mean like things that like we inherently or intrinsically know to be sort of true. The cheesy, like, well, of course that's how that works. Intentional or not, I think a lot of times the media we consume has a very clear message, and that's kind of what I wanted to go on. I know there's some games and some shows that I've watched that had both taught me something that I didn't know before, or helped me figure something out about my life that I didn't realize before, or just straight up give a good reminder of like, yeah, that is supposed to be like that.
Well, first of all, I would like to say, if anybody was in doubt that this is an adult otaku podcast, this is your episode for that. On your topic, and especially on your terms, I absolutely agree with you. I think the media tends to overlook a lot the life lessons that we receive from anime. And I feel like it gets overlooked the older you get, too. Even video games sometimes, like regardless of media, tends to have a story to tell with either a moral compass or a lesson or something. It actually does leaves a significant imprint in the person, regardless of age. I don't think people even acknowledge that. I think it's just consumed, and then they're like, oh, right. That was the lesson.
Yeah, and sometimes it's because you can tell when something is analytical content. It's not easy to come to the same conclusion. If you're really close with someone and you watch that together or you play that together, you get to the end and you're like, damn, that was really good. That's why you ask the question, what did you think about it? It's not just because you liked it too and you want confirmation. It's because you want to know their opinions, thoughts, and like how they perceive the story. How did they perceive their message, what they received. And the most recent example I can think of that was with Sakura-chan when we were discussing the ending of Violet Evergarden, the movie.
We really can go into the discussion on why this is important in this discussion that we have on the podcast if we don't go into spoilers. That's just the reality of it. I'm sorry, guys.
There's a lot of ways to interpret the message and sometimes it can be easy, sometimes it can be not so easy, but there's always something there, and that's like what I was getting at. Before we jump into Violet Evergarden, I'm gonna do my side of the argument with some examples of games that I've played. You might not be familiar with this, but there is a game called Nier Automata. The ending, again, we're going into spoiler territory for everything. You have been warned. The ending basically has you delete all of your files in order to help someone else finish the game, because the ending of the game is so difficult, so insanely, basically impossible, unless you get help from other people who have already deleted their files and send their data to you to help you finish the game. That's
holy crap.
Yeah.
Can I
bridge
say something? Are they
forcing
you to social? Are they forcing game otakus to socialize? I honestly, that's like freaking genius. I'm not a gamer, but I feel like that's super genius because it's absolutely right. It actually enables you. It creates a pathway for you to be forced to interact with other people in a helpful manner. Because I feel like a lot of the either first-person shooters or like a lot of games, like one group of people against another group of people, and they're raiding each other or whatever is it, or fighting each other, whatever you call it. So I like this whole idea of like you are forced to receive help and seek help helping others, like paying it
Right.
forward,
Hmm.
which is not something you would think in a game. Again, it goes and ties back. I'm glad you brought this as an example because it really does ties up to the fact that people do not take media this kind of deep and seriously. And yeah, it might not be a life lesson, but it's definitely something that impacts someone's life.
Hmm.
Which is why games and entertainment media like anime or music or whatever you want to call it should never be taken for granted. It should be taken very seriously. It really, really does impact people's lives and can transform them too.
All right. So with that one, I guess I'll bring up one more that's also kind of fairly close to my heart. I wanted to also bring up that it is impossible to save everyone, but it is still okay to try, and that's something that I picked up from Life is Strange, which if I mean, again, I'm gonna go into spoiler territory, but basically the bottom line is that she's trying to save her best friend from dying, and she keeps failing, and eventually, at the very end, she succeeds, but because she tried so many times, she creates basically this weird storm. Like a literal, like, giant hurricane that's about to hit their town and completely wipe it off the map. And the only way to get rid of it is to just go back all the way to the first time she tried to save her friend and let her die.
I mean, if there's anything that could be called a life lesson, it's this one. It's a dark one, though. It's really
Yeah.
dark. They first thing I feel like they have to want to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
It's just even if they want to be saved, they can be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Because life happens, and sometimes life is not fair. And I say this with the utmost respect to the forces of nature. It's never fun, and it's never simple, and it's never easy to lose someone, especially someone you care.
That's the one thing we have guaranteed in life. That and taxes. Death. It's like,
Also, they make you choose between saving an entire town of people
yeah.
or letting your friend
It's
die.
it's it's
Jesus
like
Christ.
because it's literally the conundrum, right? Like the 1 versus 100, right? The save one or save a
Right.
thousand, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like
And then
you
you're
can't
you're
really make that choice so simply unless like there's too many
no.
factors that go into that choice. Who's the
Also,
person,
that person
like
it's not a random person either. It's
exactly.
someone who's close to you.
And even if
So
it
it's
was a
like
random person, right? Like cuz you could always see the value of someone's life, especially when they're right in
I
front of you,
mean not
versus seeing the value of 1,000 people that you don't know. But I
not
mean,
everybody does, but
again, this is the beauty of
again,
it, right? This is
again.
the beauty of it.
I feel like everybody, especially when you become an adult, if I could travel back in time, I would do this
Hmm.
again, or I will do this different, right? Especially when you start getting older and more responsibilities, and you start figuring things out, and you're like, well, I have all this maturity
Hmm.
now, and all of this amazing life lessons, and I have this money, and I have this. I wish I had this when I was like 10 years old, younger.
Not to mention that goes into the whole the path and the mistakes that you made to get to where you are is what enables that having that in the first place, right?
And that's the part that sucks because you're like, well, it sucks. It was painful, but damn, it made me resilient.
Hmm.
Damn, do I know better now? Damn, am
We
I
know
a
that better
better
than
person
most,
because of it? Yeah,
but we won't
and
go
it's
into
just,
details for that.
oh, hell no. No,
uh,
thank you. No need to relive that moment in our life ever again. It's kind of like mind-boggling that such huge transformative life lessons and just kind of like human the pinnacle of human existence and emotions and feelings and how the brain works and psychology represented on these aspects on games and on
hmm.
animation, and you're like, wow,
We love
that was deep.
stories.
Yeah, but I feel like there's stories that you tell for entertainment, and then there's stories that actually have something to tell, that
I
actually are powerful.
I genuinely think that even
Which
like the
kind of brings us
most
back to Violet Evergarden in a weird way. But but I have a special kind of place in my heart for, again, animes like Violet Evergarden that actually do commit to make their story about learning a life lesson or making you feel something. Okay, so Violet Evergarden, you guys. To give you a very, very, very quick rundown of this, war-torn kind of country. Violet was actually a child soldier in the spectrum of the war. She was assigned to Major. We're just gonna call him Major. I'm not really good with names, you guys. Sorry about that. Fine. But the Major takes care of her as a person. He starts treating her more as a human being than as just a war machine, just there to kill.
Yep.
He starts treating her with kindness. He starts showing her how to fall asleep in an actual bed and do normal things that girls will do, and showing
just
her
introducing her to life beyond war.
To life and what humanity, the kind, gentle, warm and safe side of humanity might look like when you have a relationship with someone that trusts you, accepts you for who you are, and likes you and wants to see good, good for you.
Yep.
And unfortunately, because this is a war-torn place, and the Major sacrifices his life while saving Violet, and Violet loses her arm in the process. And we go through the entire
arms,
arc.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah, both arms.
Yeah, I think so. Both arms. We go through the entire arc of the animation, basically just the anime, with her trying to go back into civilian life with the new life lessons that she was taught by the Major, and just kind of adapting to her not being a quote-unquote robot and being a human and getting back into society as a doll, which is basically they write letters. Like, basically they work on the postal offices and she writes letters. But again, letters are meant to be given for the letters are written with feelings, and she's trying to figure out what feelings are, what love means.
Because it's like she's trying to figure out what emotions in general are.
Yeah.
And that's hard enough for us humans. We struggle with our emotions, let alone someone who's considered themselves a war machine, nothing but pure blood and rage and fighting the whole time.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting because we see her struggle with how to laugh, how to smile, little human interactions that you take for granted all the time because you learn that from, you're a baby. You have your own little, posse of people that you imitate, and they show you that smiling means that you're happy, that a tear means that you're sad. So Violet never had that. She just experienced that for a couple of months, maybe even a year with the Major. So she's not very fully developed as a human. She's a baby. And the only way she can figure out what the Major was trying to teach her and what he meant is by going into this business where people write their emotions as a doll and write letters.
Because we're in this day and age, we're so preoccupied with consuming media and just in general, we live in such a fast-paced environment nowadays that it's hard to enjoy the little things in life, and those are the ones that bring you the most joy. That's also the reason why when in a funeral, usually it's the little things that you remember about the person, cut the deepest.
They stand out. They stand out. They stick out. They really do.
Going back into Violet though, obviously we saw the series and then there's a movie which concludes the series properly. It was a happy ending for her,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
At least in the movie.
And in my mind, the point or the message that the anime was trying to send, even with the movie, was that she was just going to have to learn to live without him. Remember him for what he taught her and who he was. Yeah, as a memory. But she would have to find her own path in her own way. We didn't get that. Like I said, I still loved it. It was amazing and it was great. But that was my original thought.
The thing is, I remember when we had this discussion first. At the beginning, I thought the ending was cheesy. Of course, he's gonna end up with her, and she's gonna, come back, and they're gonna live happily ever after, and that's giving everybody a happy ending. And I love happy endings, but the other side of me was like, ugh, come on. Like, why would you do this after all this buildup of her trying to move on and things like that? But
Yeah.
then I realized the ending of her ending with the major was the hard ending, because the easy ending would have been, I'll remember you forever in my memories, and I will live my life in solitude, or I'll find someone else, or I'll marry your brother and whatever. I think the hardest part is confronting your fear and confronting your demons. The choice that she had to make of like, I will let you decide on your own what you want to do.
Hmm.
I want you in my life, but if you don't want that because you feel regret, or because you feel that you don't deserve to live and you don't feel like you deserve me because of that, that's your own process. And I will allow you to, if that is your choice, I will accept your choice and respect your choice. I will leave. And I feel like that is emotional maturity on itself. And that's the pinnacle of Violet Evergarden, because it's all laid down in the anime and in the actual movie. But her having that choice at the end of like, I'm gonna leave you, you process your own trauma in order to have them return to you when they're ready. And that's not something you see, and
Yep.
definitely not on the entertainment.
I mean,
I feel
I
like,
think that's
yeah,
part of the
yeah,
beauty of the ending is that it's very much you can read it at surface level and say, "Oh, they just got a happy ending," and that's okay
absolutely.
because that
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
part of it. But that's why it's such a great show, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so deep. At least, like, if you read into this, it goes way deeper than just a happy ending. It's like their choice to go to stay together to help each other cope and like move past their past
Yeah.
and their trauma. That is the ending that we got. And like again, like you said, at first I didn't understand it. I really thought they were just gonna go with the whole she'll have to get over
Yeah.
him. At the end of the day, like it doesn't matter how close you become with someone, like you will never fully understand them. It's just part of being human. You will never fully empathize or understand someone else. And they will never fully understand or empathize you. You can get close, you can get extremely close, but in the end of the day, each
Yeah.
person is an individual, and that's, you know, there's a reason for that.
It on it there the relationship is so much like a real relationship in real life, with their values and how they dramatize the story and how mature it is with the emotional part, that it really, you can take out of it the fact that, you know, absolutely, in your real life, you need to have all of those things in order for you to have a regular good strength
Mhm.
and steady and
Yep.
healthy relationship. So
All
yeah,
right. I'm gonna jump ship to a different. There's two more I want to cover before we close out. Uh, there's one called Hal. So
I love
that's
this one. I'm
yeah,
glad
it
that
is
you're
so
bringing this one
it's
up.
so good. Yeah, because I wanted to talk about
Not a
because
lot of
this.
people know about it.
I know, right?
Also,
It's criminally underrated, honestly. It's extremely good.
absolutely.
For those of you who haven't heard about it, it's called HAL, Hal. This one is actually one that I'd rather not spoil. I know we said we were going into spoilers, but I
Yeah.
think this one I'll make an exception.
Um.
Let's
It
just
it it's
I'll
gonna deal.
yeah, I'll
It
just
well,
kind of
you
give a
might as
quick
well.
brief. Yeah, I'll give a quick brief. So
No, no, no,
basically,
no. Don't even brief. Don't even brief it. I feel like you should leave it there. Just, it's
should I
gonna,
really
for
leave it like
anybody
that?
who,
Can I at
yes,
least
leave it.
no, but can I at least uh, talk about like what it deals with? Cuz they're going to find out anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, honestly, okay. Give them a warning just in case somebody gets like trigger. Um,
I
no,
want them
I
to
mean
get
it.
triggered.
Like use them. What? No, not in the good sense, Mrs. Not in the good, not the good kind of
Okay,
Twitter
okay, okay,
war
fine,
kind
fine,
of
fine, fine.
trigger.
Okay,
And
okay,
somebody
okay,
might
Sakura.
get like,
Okay,
you
Sakura.
never
I'll do
know.
it. I'll
You
do it.
never know.
I'll do it.
Fine. Go
Trigger
ahead.
warning. Semi pseudo spoilers, I guess. I'm gonna say the plot of the anime. There's this guy who has a girlfriend, basically the perfect couple, and then some really bad stuff happens. And then he has to deal with said bad stuff happening.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I'm sorry if you are triggered by grief. do not watch this if you're going through a very difficult time in your life.
You know what?
Warning.
You can watch this if you're sensitive to grief. You know what you cannot watch if you're sensitive to grief? Grave of the Fireflies. But the last one I wanted to... Okay, go. Before I bring the last one, go.
No, before you bring the last one, the thing that I wanted to say is that to tie their topic up, it's like, these are the things that, because we were telling life lessons, but these are the things that are not talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that people do turn to, what we discover are what we would call life lessons and things like that. Because I feel like a lot of people will just go, it's like, well, this is not a life lesson. We're talking about depressing stuff. Well, it is, because life sucks sometimes.
And then you die.
And then you die. And the reality of the matter is that if you think about it, the human psyche and what you learn through this media, you're confronted by it. You're confronted by life. You're confronted by death. And you learn to confront those things through, the world of movie and animation and gaming. And those are life lessons.
Sometimes you just don't know, or just can't find the words to express grief or express joy or anger or any, it's difficult, and that's why we brought it up in this scenario, because they help, like I said, I think even the most generic anime or video game or whatever does have some kind of pseudo underlining message or goal that it's trying to achieve in the end. So the last one I kind of wanted to discuss is Cowboy Bebop. The first time I watched it, I was so young, I didn't fully comprehend what I was watching. I just thought it was cool. And then I rewatched it, and it was like, dang, it's still just as cool, if not better, now that I understand what's going on. And then you get into each of the characters and their arcs, and what they learn, what they've lost, what they've gained, and basically how each of them is sort of struggling with their past and struggling with what they left behind and trying to, I guess, run away from it.
Cowboy Bebop is one of those things that I feel a lot of people has gone a little bit mainstream now, so a lot of people know about it either by word of mouth or just seen it. But depending on where you are in your life, what age you are specifically, you will not get it. And I mean it, because I also went with the same experience as you were. I saw it when it came out very, very young. And I was like, oh, cool, guns
fighting, and space.
And space opera, and
and the music.
Cowboy, and music, oh my god, Tank, the opening. And it was great. And I kind of got it. I was like, oh, it's about revenge, of course. And then, years later, I sat down and actually watched it again, because I own a teacher of it. It's one of the few items I am very, very proud to own, a teacher of Cowboy Bebop. A cool teacher, not an otaku.
Okay, we've gone through the fashion thing.
Sorry, we went to the fashion.
Moving along.
Had a moment. Had a relapse. But it's one of those animes when you mature, that you understand that the characters are dealing with something a lot more profound and a lot more deeper that you first thought when you saw the anime very, very young. And that the message of Cowboy Bebop is completely different from what a lot of people think on the surface, which is something that caught me off guard. To be completely truthful, I did not understand the scope of it until recently, when I watched on YouTube an in-depth analysis of Cowboy Bebop from a very... I'm going to sponsor them because they're fucking amazing. They're called Bonsai Pop.
Bonsai Pop, yeah.
And I think I shared with you ages ago. And then they do a lot of
really good ones for in-depth. I think Wisecrack did one for them as well, for Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, absolutely. Also really good. But I did not... There's a lot of really small things that I missed, and I did not get it until I saw that in-depth analysis. Even on my second viewing, a lot older, and I didn't get it until the in-depth analysis, was the fact that Spike is basically living like he's dead. that's why he's so fearless. That's why he doesn't care. That's why
Yeah.
he does all of the antics and does of that. He already thinks in his heart and in his mind, life sucks. I am already dead. I'm just waiting to die.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to shoot me. I have nothing to lose.
Uh-huh.
And there's this play of like, you can be physically alive, but you're dead inside.
I also think
The
that
thing,
it shows it's a really good way of showing like because there again there's like a lot of topics covered because like they even
hmm
on my recent rewatching of it they even cover like a cult like what happens when cult like mentality takes over,
yeah,
like when like a cult mentality takes you over and basically you don't live for anything
just
other than
brainwash you.
yeah it's brainwashing. It's
They just
amazing,
brainwash you.
truly amazing.
Yeah.
What it they even covered like what it would be like to so they gave like an interpretation of what someone in a vegetable state would be like. They really show with each of the characters how they're sort of running away or stuck in their past.
It's
And
also
yet
another one.
like I want to take
Yeah.
it a little bit I want to take it a step further because like when you think about it it's like they all have these demons that they're struggling with and yet they find each other in a position where they could potentially start over, but they don't.
Yeah.
Each of them
But they
basically
don't.
go their separate ways. Ed
Yeah.
leaves, and then Spike leaves, and then Faye has no one, so she kind of leaves too, and then all that's left is Jed at the end by himself again on the Bebop.
Again,
Yeah,
it's all about choices.
yeah,
At the end, it's all about choices. They choose to leave. They choose to live their lives still running around that hamster wheel of regret and remorse and the past,
Yep.
Even when, at the end he goes and they confronts his past, Spike goes and confronts his past, he still can deal with it. He still,
yeah.
until the very end. So I feel like in a way it's a very sour, very sad lesson about
I guess you could even argue that he sort of, at the very end of it all, he sort of understood that even though he was sort of running away, he still sort of had a life, like what
yeah, that's the
he
thing.
managed to find something. But again, this is the beauty of it, that there's so many ways to look at it and like
Yes, there are
dissect it and
many
interpret it.
ways. Yeah,
It's just pure gold. Like it's
he
amazing.
thought, and I think when people are reluctant to change and reluctant to, understand that some things are just need to change. They just need to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of life. Things that get stuck in one place, it's like dirty, muddy water. They're not,
They stagnate.
It's gonna, yeah, exactly. They're stagnate. So you need, change is good. Change is part of life. You need to confront those things because you will have to go,
Yep.
and you will have regrets. You
Like
will have resentment.
it's like they say in the very
Mhm.
end. Like I just love the quote. It's like you're gonna carry that weight for the rest of your life.
You
That's
are
just,
going
yeah.
to carry that weight. And it's the people you surround yourself with and the life you decide to live, regardless of that weight, that makes the difference. It's not something you see every day, and it's
Mhm.
such a mature thing. And I love the fact that this is a life lesson.
I want to go ahead and just kind of wrap up. There's just some loose ends that I kind of want to mention. Wolf Children, it's really good, and it's basically a single mom taking care of two kids. And then I wanted to know if you had any that you wanted to share.
Fruit Basket is a great anime. I know it's gonna be Fruit Basket, so fluffy. Especially if you're a little bit like our age, older otakus, you'll pick up on it pretty fast. It deals with trauma, with healing, with acceptance, thought-provoking, but also something sweet and nice and digestible. I don't want to give you something very traumatic because I feel we already talked about all the traumatic ones.
And then on the gaming side of things, I'll go ahead and give a recommendation.
Yeah, might as well.
Play Catherine. Look it up.
Oh, I heard about this actually.
Yes, Play Catherine. That is a very good take on adult relationships and what it means to be with someone, the sacrifices you have to make a relationship work. It deals with stuff that you don't normally see in video games. Also, It's from the makers of Persona 5 and the Persona and Shin Megami Tensei series. It's from Atlas, so that should give you a
I
clue as to how
mean,
good it is.
with those reference alone, you guys are spoiled for choice. I mean it.
But
Yeah, we're adults here, so
I think with that, we're
you
gonna go ahead and
you
finish things
yes,
off, right? So thank you for
absolutely.
watching. I know we ran a little bit extra, but thank you for putting up with us. I hope it was enjoyable for everyone.
I mean, we had a lot to cover. It was a heavy topic, but I feel like it was a needed one. This is an adult anime. I mean, an
Podcast.
adult otaku podcast. I appreciate it. We're definitely going to talk something a little bit more lighter next
Yeah,
time
I think
because
for
I
next
do feel like
time we're
I
just
need
gonna
a
go
drink
ahead
after
and
this.
yeah, we're just gonna no, I think next time we're gonna go a little more on the lighter side. I think we have already something planned. I don't want to
Yeah.
say anything. I don't know if you want to say anything about the next topic, but
We'll
yeah.
let you be
Cause
surprised. It's
you're
definitely
the one
gonna.
that really wants to get into that one as well.
Yeah, we'll let you be surprised. It's gonna come from my end. I have something really interesting that I want to talk about. I want to hear your opinions about it. But we're definitely gonna keep it a little bit light. I'm gonna have a drink in my hand. I'm gonna have a fun time. And there's no more gloomy clouds all over for next time when we get together to
You're
talk
making
about
me
it. So thank
sound like
you.
such a villain. I mean, I am, but still.
Thinking about it. No. It's okay. It's okay.
Whatever.
It's okay. We
All
have to
right.
talk about it anyway. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. By the way, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming and listening to us. Thank
All right.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.